Mitra, thank you so much for joining us for Dairy Dialogue. It's always a pleasure for me to talk to people like yourself, especially some off camera when we were chatting, some connection that you and I were able to make. So I'm super excited to have you. Thank you very much. What we like to do in these formats, this is a format for us at a personal level, and then on everybody who listens to these dialogues to learn first how to become like you and people like you. So that's one big part of it. And the second part is also there are a lot of people who watch this who are not in India. And it's a very intriguing and unique way for the world to learn about India and India market through the lens of people like you who have grown up in this business, in India. People like me ran away. So people like me also learn about India and dairy markets from people like you. So the way we like to do it is I would ask you to, give us a little bit of story of where you grew up and what was the path you took to get to where you are today. So present, right? And then we'll talk a little bit about your present. And then we'll talk about, so where from here, what is the inspiration to go to the next step? So having said that, I'll keep quiet and I'll let you do a lot of talking. So please tell us, where did you start? What path brought you to where you are today?
Thank you very much for having me here today, Anup. And good morning and good evening to you and everybody, depending on the time zones you all are in. Now, another thing, call me Rajiv. Will you?
I will do that.
We'll have a better dialogue that way. And to borrow your line from an informal chat, Mr. Mitra reminds me of my father.
That's right.
Who's no more. But call me Rajiv, so we'll have a good dialogue. Anup, I was born and raised in a place called Calcutta, and which is in the eastern part of India, though in a state called West Bengal. And,
that's right.
Though you say you have run away, but you don't run away from history. So you
Correct.
know why it is West Bengal and why it is in the eastern part of the country and still called
Correct.
West Bengal. I was born in Calcutta. My father was a banker, and my mother would look after us and the home and everything mostly. But my parents, they come from divergent family backgrounds, different family backgrounds. During the partition of the country, during independence, there were two states possibly, if not more, Punjab on the west and Bengal in the east, that bore a brunt which is different from any other, which is a direct hit of partition. So my father's family moved from a village where they belong to, which is now a part of a country called Bangladesh. So for reasons we know and we have debated over the ages and we have agreed and disagreed. So that family during independence, my father's family moved from there to Calcutta when my father was possibly in his teens or even less. And contrarily, my mother's family, my grandfather was a very rich businessman in West Bengal. In Calcutta, which is on this part of the country. So I have heard stories of struggles and pride of achieving something by oneself,
of course,
and growth and success on one's own feet on one side.
That's
and
right.
stories of Austins and Morrises and Impalas matching one's clothes on the other side. So the zamindari system in Bengal on one side and the struggle of migrant population on the other side. So
that's
quite complex, yet gelled fantastically. So that is the lineage, that is the parentage I have. So it's been a fantastic mix of both worlds, the good from both worlds.
There's one question I definitely want to ask you, and I will put us in a club here, and the club it's a personal thing. club I will put is we are old-timer Calcutta people. My tongue still cannot roll Kolkata, right?
Oh, lovely, lovely.
Anytime somebody says, "Where are you from?" I say, "I'm from Cal." Right? I mean, that's the old time we used to say this in the 70s and the 80s. Oh, yeah, I'm going to Cal, or I'm from Cal. How do you feel about that? I still can't roll it out.
Neither can I, Anu. I have been referring to Calcutta. Am I not
Yes,
in
of
the
course.
conversation
That's
with you?
that's exactly why I asked. That's right.
Yeah, I left a place. I left a place called Calcutta for
Correct.
greener pastures.
Yes.
So when I left that place, the name of the place was Calcutta.
Correct.
And then while I was away,
They changed it.
the name got changed. And I do not wish to comment on a pastime of
Sure.
name changing.
Yeah.
It might have had great reasons. It might have had great benefits not known to me. But the
Correct.
name got changed from Calcutta to Kolkata. So
Correct.
what has happened with me, Anup, is Calcutta is a place that goes with me wherever I go.
Absolutely.
And Kolkata is a place where I go back to once in a while.
Makes sense. Agreed. Very nice.
I go back to Kolkata maybe once in a quarter, or maybe more frequently. My mother lives there, but Calcutta is something that goes with me wherever I go. So it's just not the tongue. It's about my being.
Correct.
I
Agreed.
am Calcutta.
Agreed. I was talking to a friend of mine just this week. He lives in Houston. He's from Calcutta as well. And the reference is, he's like, "Hey, by the way, I was in Cal last week." So we still, that hasn't changed, right? Anyway, good. Lovely. So yes, you were saying you grew up in Calcutta. So please continue. Sorry, I took the detour.
Yeah, so Jadavpur University in Calcutta. And but when I talk about Jadavpur, Jadavpur is very well known globally for technical education.
That's right.
I am an economics graduate, and I am an economics postgraduate from Jadavpur University. I am an economist, if I may wish to expose myself. And
yes, please. And you studied economics in the communist state. Yes, please go on.
Yes, you're right. You are so right. You are so right. And those were also my growing up days, where people used to come down on the streets opposing computerization.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, those were the days. Those were correct. The days. I might say that I'm lucky to have seen those days. So I know how fortunate we are.
Of course.
With times changing.
Of course.
Times changing, I would say last 3 decades have been there has been a sea change in India over the last 3 decades. We have seen days of growth and highs and lows and everything. So I started working there. As it happens, you come out of college, you take a job, and I started working there. But after a while, it's not that I grew tired of the place. It's not that I never grew tired of Calcutta, but I saw that there are greater and bigger opportunities coming by outside of the city, outside of the state. And I didn't see any reason not to take up opportunity. Our idea is to see and make any place home. Today, wherever I live in Maharashtra for the last 2 decades. And it is my home. It is my home.
Correct.
I know, another interesting thing I have found, that our cities are more, they accept you more. They are more accommodating than our states. For example, I will never become a Maharashtrian. I will always be a Bengali. But I have become a Mumbaiite, or I have become a Puneite. So you can be a bigger part of the city, a better part of the city, than you can call yourself a Maharashtrian or a Tamil if you have lived there for the last over 2 decades. And I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy to say so, having my roots in Calcutta. So you can't, by just changing the name, you don't change my history. How I moved here, I was working for a company, a group called the RPG Group. There, I was working.
And for the benefit of our listeners, RPG does not mean rocket propelled grenade. It is RP Goenka Group. Yes, please go.
Yes, yeah, thank you very much. Yes, sometimes abbreviations kill us. And
Literally.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. So I moved to Pune on a transfer. Literally fell in love with the place and the state and the people, and thought that this could be our home for the rest of our lives. But we moved out and in of this
Sure.
place. So
Sure.
as luck would have it, dairy business in Maharashtra is centered around Pune. I mean,
Right.
at least Western Maharashtra is centered around Pune. Though in Prabhat, my office is in Navi Mumbai. And
Okay.
where I am sitting now is a place called Srirampur. Srirampur is in Ahmednagar district. This
Right.
district is the largest producer of milk in the country, by the way. So I'm sitting in Srirampur, which is my biggest factory in India for lactose.
So
Yes, yeah, please.
tell us how you got from RPG to dairy. That is the question that I've been burning to ask you.
Yeah, I have been in retail, in FMCG, in telecom. I was fortunate to be in telecom when the mobile industry was at its nascent stage in the country. You
Yeah.
know, there was something I still remember called NTP 99. NTP, again, I don't know what you call NTP in the US. In India, some people will remember it is New Telecom Policy.
Okay.
Okay, so that was introduced in 99, and during those times, late 90s and early 2000, I somehow got sucked into telecom. And boy, that was quite a journey. 100% CAGR.
Correct.
Growth like nobody's business. We had a tele-density of, if I remember, three. Tele-density is number of people using
Correct.
telephones per 100.
Correct.
Okay, from three, and with this mobile phone and that business, in 5 6 years that were to follow, tele-density touched 100. So from three out of 100 people out of 100 started using telephone,
Telephone.
which ushered in a huge macro and microeconomic transformation within the country. It was, I would say, a stroke of luck, an opportunity, and as we were discussing, striking the right chord at the right time. There is a Maharashtra-based dairy company, a mid-sized dairy company, that was looking at somebody to head the
Correct.
company.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have thought in my wildest of dreams that I was the right fit for that. And now I would kudos to the promoters of that company. They wanted somebody from a totally different background because they were not interested in doing more of the same thing. They wanted to do things differently. So it was, I at one point, I thought that I am taking a big chance by quitting my comfort zone and coming onto an industry where I had no business coming to. So I thought I was taking a big chance, a big risk with my life. But mind you, Anup, the promoters of that company, they were taking a bigger chance, and they took that bigger chance and inducted me into that
So,
company.
so Rajiv, that begs a very important question. Even before I know where you landed in dairy, but we'll come to that in a second. So now it takes, it always takes two parties to clap. Like you can't clap with one hand. So your promoters took a chance. So did you, right? So both parties took. I would say your promoters took measurable risk. You took an unmeasurable risk. Although you may think the other way around, but I think they knew you. You did not know what you were getting into. So I think we'll get to that. Now, give me an idea first. Is what it takes a mental makeup and a risk makeup on the part of the board to hire you. So give us a little color of what was the board's thinking, and then we will get into color from your side of what were you
Yes.
thinking.
Yes, I think this is leading to a very interesting conversation, at least as far as I am interested. I would say now with the benefit of hindsight, and I
Yes,
know what the board was thinking, they were interested in inducting a successful professional, somebody who has made a success of whatever he has done, not necessarily in agriculture or dairy. So the thought was, if somebody has spent time in some amount of adversity and challenges and could circumvent those, could overcome those challenges and made a success of what it was, they thought that that would be the right choice.
Got it.
And was I the best choice? I wouldn't think so, because you tend to recruit, you tend to hire the best among what is available. So possibly I was I was available on their radar. It doesn't mean I was the best fit. There could have been better people. Like you say, when you to take an example, when you see a Miss India,
Sure.
she may not be the most beautiful woman in the country,
Sure.
but she is the most beautiful, or I mean, she is the best
Yeah.
amongst those who participate,
Sure. Fair enough.
amongst those who enlist. So there may
Fair
be
enough.
others. So, but I was available on their radar. So I would say I was kind of fortunate. I was fortunate. I say so with benefit of hindsight.
Sure.
At that time, there is always a bit of patronizing
Sure.
behavior, a bit of condescension.
Yeah.
So when you think, okay, let me take this chance. If it's a favor is not the right word. I didn't think of
Yeah.
it that way. But with
Correct.
the benefit of hindsight, they were looking at a person who made a success of something.
Yeah.
Okay. From my point of view, Anu, how I reasoned it out, okay, I would see that I was not the first one to come as a CEO or an MD of a company in a different industry. This is not the first case in the world, neither will it be the last case. There will
Absolutely.
be many more. There will be many more such. And there are
Yeah.
merits, and people know the merits of it, as there are merits of hiring somebody from within the industry.
Absolutely.
So from my side, what I thought, and what I always think, I still think today, what is the job of the top guy, of the CEO? You have to manage people. You have to manage the best of people who are good in their jobs.
Correct.
You have to manage systems and processes.
Yeah.
And you have to manage finances.
Yeah.
Now, where is dairy in this and where is telecom in this? You manage professionals, you manage processes, and you manage money.
Yeah. Correct.
And you do that in telecom if you have done it wisely and successfully in telecom. If you have done it wisely and successfully in FMCG, you might as well do it wisely and successfully in dairy.
In dairy. Correct.
So, from my point of view, even today, I think of it as a mantra, my mantra: people, money, and processes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Makes sense.
some people would want people who are interested in, what you call alliteration. So you may
Sure.
want to call it another P. So people, processes, and paisa.
Sure.
So instead of money, so,
Fair
so
enough.
you have so if you want to talk like a management guru, so three
Yeah. Three
P's.
P's. 3 P's. Correct.
So that is what I feel. So from my point of view, that was my yes to it. And from
Got it.
their point, somebody who is making a success of different industries, different adversities, different challenges, might do well here too. And
Sure.
I would say again, with benefit of hindsight, we both were right. We both were proven to be right. So it's good luck for both of us. We both have been fortunate because, again, to go by the old adage, we both were brave.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of courage. So you enter into this business, you accept this responsibility, and now you are the, not now, but back then when you took the job, um, give us one or two stories of, you know, the leaving the comfort zone and finding yourself. I mean, yes, I mean, there's a lot of familiarity in managing people, processes, money, absolutely. But there's also a great deal of, lack of like I'll tell you, when the first time I started to look at the business of dairy, it started as very dumb, extremely very low IQ in observation, right? So I go to my father-in-law's dairy farm and I'm standing in the dairy barn, cow barn, for the first time in my life. And I'm from India, I should know this, but I don't, right? And the first thing that goes through my head is cows give milk on Sundays. Well, obviously cows give milk on Sundays, but I'm a mechanical engineer. We know of oil wells and you can shut them off, but you can't shut the cow off, right? I mean, so there are some simple observations like this, and there are more complex observations as well. Like, hey, by the way, milk perishes. It needs to be chilled from the point it comes out to the point. They're more complex things. The chemistry is complex, the biology of milk, and all the above, blah, 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 blah. So walk us through what was that stepping stones of understanding and learning what was not familiar.
What I get from you is you didn't find it sexy enough.
No, there's no. In fact, to be honest, I found it intellectually the most sexy thing I probably ever came across. So my intellect was peaked like nobody's business, right? If my intellect if something does not tickle my intellect, I'm not interested. I've been in dairy now for 12 years. I know this is how I make a living now. So intellect was there. But what I'm saying is, and I am like my dog. My nose follows curiosity. So something has to pique curiosity. The question, the question I'm asking is, how do you feed that curiosity?
Yes. No, you said it. This is one driver I have, unbridled curiosity.
Yes.
Okay. Which is what possibly drives you to take newer challenges.
Absolutely. Correct. Yes.
And that curiosity sometimes has a larger weightage than the risk. So it's always a trade-off,
100%.
Whatever scores higher, you pursue that. So initially, those days, I was not, I couldn't speak Marathi well. I have learned over the years and I manage these days. So I was working in the villages with the farmers, meeting them, talking to them, finding out the difficulties, the challenges, and what is their kick. And then getting milk to the factory where the workers are all local people. And initial days, one would feel like an alien.
Yeah.
I worked I'm a city-bred person. I work in the services industry. I work with different kind of people. But what I found here, Anu, is the joy of life. And I tell you, today, after 10 years in dairy, I don't think I'll be able to do anything else for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because this is where I really find my calling. And your question about initial days, huge amount of learning, which still continues every day. But talking to one farmer, talking to one machine operator, and then one distributor of your products, and finally the customer or a supplier of coal, supplier of sugar, supplier of, and all the big companies supplying machinery. So the entire value chain and all the stakeholders that you go out and talk to and learn from them. So initial years was great learning, and I would say very challenging, but we made something out of it, and all sorts of record books and business books and your finance books would endorse what I'm saying. So we made something out of that, and I really enjoy my job, this industry, and the work that I have to do, the people's lives that I get to touch, that I'm able to touch. I'm extremely kicked about it, and that is my motivator. And I don't have Monday morning blues, by the way. I don't have them. I look forward to hitting my desk on a Monday morning, which is, I think, my biggest joy. I do not have one single moment where I am depressed at work. There are ups and downs, highs and lows, goods and bads. There are arguments and debates. There are crises and crosses. But I really look forward to everything that happens the whole day.
True. Very nice. So now give us a sense. So now you're in Prabhat for a while. And how is it to run a dairy business in India? I mean, and I say that with recognition of some constraints. And what I mean by constraints is India is an agrarian, actually dairy anywhere in the world, politics and agrarian society have a mix. And sometimes it becomes difficult to implement what commercially you would want to do versus now what you have to do, keeping other things in mind. So Agrarian is one side of the picture. The second side of the picture is you have a consumer base, not just in India, globally. And I think I would even say that the Indian consumer is perhaps more savvy in making choices, than some of the other consumer bases. So you're balancing a supply which is very agrarian, has efficiency challenges and such, and you have a very demanding consumer base. So how do you strike that balance?
Thank you for asking. There's a question I really needs to be answered well. India is, had it been Europe, this could be 5 or 6 or 10 countries. So why I say this, today when I'm talking to you, there is one part of India, Punjab, where the farmers, they are threatening to go on strike.
Correct.
Demanding higher price of milk.
That's right.
Other parts is somewhere called Odisha.
Yeah.
There the farmers, they want higher price of milk, and there is logic behind it.
Yeah.
Maharashtra thinks that the milk prices are very high, higher than any point of sustainability, and there is a case for bringing it down.
Fair enough.
Tamil Nadu prices may come down or stay where they are. So we have different logics, different kind of economics, different dynamics working in different parts of the same country. And all are right, by the way.
Yeah.
All are right. There is nothing wrong, and there is merit in all these arguments.
Sure, absolutely.
So that makes it so much more complex.
Yeah.
And you add to it the challenges like quality of milk.
Sure. Yeah.
And the producers' awareness of systems and processes to improve quality. Correct. In spite of a good intention, nobody intends to produce poor quality milk.
Absolutely. No, you're right. 100%. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I will produce shitty milk. No, of course. Absolutely.
No, nobody wants to do a bad job in whatever you're doing. Nobody intends to do that. Correct. But I need to know how to get better at my job.
Sure. Yeah.
I need to know it myself, or somebody needs to tell me.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So, whatever may the cause be, the quality of milk is a challenge. Infrastructure is a challenge. Infrastructure is a huge challenge.
Huge.
Okay. That degree of huge might have reduced over the years.
Fair enough. But it's still there. It's material. It's not immaterial. Correct. Yeah.
Yes. The level of production, the fragmented nature of production is a challenge. Like your father-in-law's farm, I do not know whether it's a big farm by US standards or small farm, but even the smallest of smallest farm will be many times bigger than an average Indian farmer.
Sure. Yes. Agreed.
Okay. So quality, the nature of production, the trainings and awarenesses, infrastructure availability, these challenges are there. Correct. So that is one side. We have the supply side. The other side, as you rightly said, we have a very discerning and demanding customer, a consumer. Because today India is exposed to the world.
Of course.
I am as a consumer exposed to global standards.
Of course.
And it is within my brief, within my right to be demanding.
Of course. Absolutely.
And so for me, I am on one side dealing with the supply side, as is any other business, dealing with the vagaries, the challenges of the supply side. And without a question, without complaining, I will have to cater to the demands of the discerning customer.
Correct.
So there is the balance of running a dairy industry. There is the challenge of running the industry where on one side, absolutely fragmented and agrarian supply. 80% of my raw material is milk.
Correct.
So I am dependent on the vagaries of the supply side while putting a smile on my face and a twinkle in my eyes, I'll have to supply. And I am proud to be able to supply a demanding consumer.
Correct. Obviously.
So here is the challenge. But where is the saving grace? Where is today? Today, I would say, today we have huge automation available, not only in big machines and not only a SCADA and other computerization that we have, even the smallest of small, there's the young graduates from the big and well-known schools in the country. They are coming out and they are creating a startup, investing their time and energies in automation of milk collection, automation of logistics, automation in marketing, and automation in data management. I think that there is a big hope in it. There is a big hope in it, and all of these will be put together by automation. Today, huge plants are commissioned in this country, totally automated. Our say butter manufacturing, or these are at par with global standards. We manufacture President butter in this country.
Imagine, wow.
President is a global brand, and Lactalis wouldn't have ventured into it unless we could conform to the global standards.
Correct, absolutely. And that's a testament to your capabilities, your business's capabilities to do it.
That's a huge testimony to our capabilities, India's capabilities to produce world-class commodities and brands and products and cater to the increasing demands of the customer.
Of course.
So it's a huge challenge, Anu. It's a huge challenge, but we must thrive on this. It's a chaos, and you thrive on chaos, and you succeed on chaos.
True. So Rajiv, now you are here. There are many things going around in society. There are many things happening in the business environment and the world, and within my business, we think that, and everybody says, "Oh, today is more unprecedented" and all that. And my view is that we don't know what tomorrow is going to be. I can tell you that tomorrow will be a shade more complex than today, because we don't know something about tomorrow. So every day is a new day, and it's more complex than yesterday. Okay. So we already know that. Having said that, when you look forward, and I don't mean philosophically, I mean from a business standpoint and such. From the outside, when we look at India, we think of India as a investment risk, high risk, environment. Now, what is not risk contributing is that you have a huge consumer base, right? In America, we have 330 million people. You have 4 times that in India, right? So you have a huge consumer base. So it seems like it's less risk, from that standpoint. But there are other business and, financial economic challenges, which is why we don't see big size investments happen. They're distributed small investments and things like that, which changes the business dynamics. So with that in mind, from a business environment standpoint, as outsiders, we would love to bet on India because of the consumer base. Now you are sitting in India. What's your perspective on not just the local market, but the Southeast Asian market?
Yes, no, thanks again for asking me. And I hope you are not banking on what I said in the beginning, that I'm an economist. But however...
No, that's why I'm asking you. That's fine. Yeah.
If you are, so either ways, I have a global view of business in India and how good it is and how will it grow, and how will it grow in spite of anything, not because of anything. I tell you, it has to grow. But I will focus my answer to you, your question, on the dairy industry.
Yeah.
Believe you me, not just because I am passionate about dairy. Sure. I think the best of dairy is yet to come.
Sure.
We have had plenty of successes in dairy. We are the largest producer of milk in the world. You would have heard this and you would have said this so many times.
Absolutely.
So, and we would have all read this so many times. We are the largest producer of milk in the country. No other country has been able to produce so much of volumes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
You attribute it to anything. You attribute it to good luck, good weather, good anything, but there is some amount of effort that goes into making this happen. So let us salute that first of all, and salute the people who contributed to this, who were instrumental in making this happen. Having said this, now I think is the time for productivity.
Correct.
Gone are the days when we were always complaining about productivity. Productivity is low, productivity is not up to the mark and up to global standards. While that is true, but we will stop complaining about it, because the best of the industry, the best of productivity is going to come. And I think this is the golden period of dairy business in India. And if there are investors who are on this show, I would want to tell them, I am personally very bullish about this industry, and this is the place to be. I can tell you, milk production will double in this country by another, say, 10 or 15 years. Today, we are hovering somewhere around 200 million metric tons. We will be 400 million metric tons because of the opportunity and productivity that we have.
Right.
So it is not just that the population will grow. You just see the productivity has an opportunity to be double.
Of course, absolutely.
Semen is reaching villages. Even I am sitting in a village now. I'm taking this call. I'm doing this interview with you from a rural, not really a village, a rural area where my largest factory is. So here I see, and I go village to village. I see artificial insemination reaching village to village, and I see huge prospect there. I am very hopeful that now is the time of productivity. That is from the supply side. The other opportunity area is value addition.
Yeah.
Okay, value addition. That discerning consumer that we spoke about, who are exposed to global standards, who are exposed to global products and services, they will get what they want made out of here. So supply will be double. Production, the kind of automation that we have in factories. Do you have a poor audio? Because there are some trucks moving on the road.
It's perfectly fine.
Okay. So there will be huge value addition led by companies like ours, led by Lactalis and many other good companies, Indian and MNCs that we have. So there will be value addition. The customer will pay for that. The customer will pay for value addition. The customer will pay for that value. The farmers pay. As I said, that when I started this journey, I was not fluent in Marathi.
That's right.
But I was forgiven. Why I was forgiven? Because when you pay well, when you pay fair, and you pay on time, you speak any language they understand.
Of course. Of course.
So that is, if we continue with that, farmer will get their due. The consumer will get their due. Production will increase. Value addition will increase. Jobs will be created in this industry. And you and I and our children will find this sexy, this industry to be in. Absolutely. There will be more. We can complain about lack of training facilities on dairy. We don't attract them young. When somebody comes out of his 12th standard or comes out of his basic graduation, he doesn't know, she doesn't know where to go to study dairy.
Yeah.
Somebody will have to point out on the huge map of India, 1 or 2 or 3 places where they go and do a dairy technology degree. So that will increase.
That's right.
So if your question was what I think about the future of this industry and how this will shape up and how this will pan out, will there be more investments? I would say an emphatic yes. And so from supply and demand side, both, there will be improvements.
My view is on investments is that capital seeks the highest return. So if there is evidence of return, I don't think there'll be problem for capital to get there, right? I think capital does that. Now,
Anup, sorry to just interrupt. I would qualify. Capital seeks a high and stable return, consistent return. Predictability is very important.
Sure. Definitely.
And this industry ensures consistency, predictability, in addition to the highs that you are talking about.
Correct. Absolutely. You're right. I should say capital seeks quality returns. And I think
absolutely. Yes.
That's right. That is right. I'm a trader, so we think of high before we think of quality. But that's right.
Yes. I'm an economist, I told you.
So then as a wrap-up question, the question that I want to ask you is, with the benefit of hindsight and the benefit of foresight, what will you tell your younger self? So imagine you're talking to Rajiv that is coming out of JU, from Calcutta. What are you going to tell him? What's your advice to that person today?
Yes, it's interesting. If I were to advise my younger self, while I believe things happen at the right time,
sure.
While I believe that there is a time for everything, but I would say that I should have gotten into this field 10 years before I actually did. I would have been able to contribute much more. I think so, and contribute much more to the industry and also to my own self, the values that I have inculcated and imbibed. Being in this, and as I told you, I don't see myself doing anything else for the rest of my life.
Sure.
So I could have, if I were to change the course, I would have joined this industry 10 years before I actually did. Sorry. But again, Anup, I think the right things happen at the right time.
Sure.
There's no point trying to change something like just by changing from Calcutta to Kolkata. I have not gained anything myself, but I really don't know everything that the world gains or loses.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for making time for us. What I'd like to do is get a commitment from you that we will reconnect in another 6 to 9 months, because the pace with which the environment is changing, business is changing, I'm sure you and I will have another very fruitful conversation like this. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on your show, Anup, and thank you for interviewing me with so much of interest and passion.
Of course.
Which I reciprocate. And it was a freewheeling chat. I enjoyed doing it, I must tell you.
Very good.